All Things Tech.
And welcome back to All Things Tech. Tonight on our Conscious Chat podcast, we'll be going over the Flat Earth theory. If you haven't heard of it before, it is a theory that the Earth is not a globe, but is in fact a flat plane. A very old belief system that's now, again, gaining popularity. We'll be opening up the lines, taking some phone calls. Joining us will be our top tech advisor, Pseudo, over in the UK, as well as a few others who should be joining us over on the conference line. But it looks like we do have a few users already standing by, so we're going to switch over there. Pseudo, if you are there, I will hand it off to you and Jim, and I think we can go ahead and get started now. We should have a few more people joining shortly as well, so go ahead and take over, Pseudo, if you are there.
Yo, Jim. So did you ask the others to come to this channel?
Yeah, I did. I invited them, and I told them.
My belief, Jim, is that this is a dimensional existence that we're experiencing, but to the sight, it looks flat. So have you guys come bearing evidence of the curve?
Essentially, bro, why is there such thing as latitude and longitude, bro?
Latitude and longitude, I guess, is coordinates that people use as a system, isn't it, to navigate certain areas. No matter what things we invent, like quote-unquote GPS, they call it global positioning, but really it's just geographical positioning. So questions about man's systems and the systems that he creates doesn't really answer the question as to whether the Earth is flat or not.
Dude, riddle me this. I don't think you have an answer for this, and if you do, you'll blow my fucking mind. And probably my cock too, no homo. No homo pause. Pseudo, let's get down to the basics. How come when it's winter in the southern hemisphere, it's summer in the northern hemisphere, bro? And vice versa. I'll wait. Pause. I'll wait. If Earth was flat, then these places wouldn't randomly be popping out, hot, cold, in one area it'd be snowing, in one area it'd be sunny.
Well, I guess the explanation for that would be, and I haven't looked deeply into that, like, they say that the Earth is turning, don't they? And things are revolving around things, but the flat earthers say that the backdrop, the sky, is the thing that turns. So if you think of Earth as a fixed plane, and if weather systems are going to be shifting, it's going to be by virtue of the sky, the backdrop that actually does the rotation. So I guess that is moving things around. But weather systems, again, it's just something circumstantial. It doesn't explain, because the fact is we do have weather systems, but you've come to understand it, that the way they operate is because you live on a ball. But there's no proof that you live on a ball. So the first thing to clear up is evidence that shows you it's a ball, and none does. The weather systems change, don't they, all the time, So weather systems are not proof that you live on a ball.
Listen, bro. I bet you if I drilled straight through the Earth's core, straight down, I'd be in China or something like that, bro. And like, if I wasn't to get burned alive, dude, the Earth is round. It is a sphere. Fuck. What was I gonna say? You get the point.
You've been told it's a sphere, so you understand it as a sphere. So everything that you've also been told that supports the sphere is going to be logical to you, but not to somebody who doesn't believe in the sphere.
Listen, Pseudo, if Earth is two-dimensional, how are we three-dimensional? And I think gravity does exist.
A flat Earth isn't two-dimensional, is it? That's like saying the cup on my table is two-dimensional. Clearly it isn't. Mountains are three-dimensional. People are three-dimensional. Everything is three-dimensional. but it's just laid out on a surface rather than on a sphere.
So basically you're saying it's just a thick block? That still almost doesn't make sense.
What I'm saying is that we can't thoroughly understand it from where we are because we haven't seen the whole picture. There may be people who can understand it better than us, but those people are on the edges of where we are and they're not letting us pass. You know, like the people who guard Antarctica. You believe it's on the bottom of a ball, whereas the flat earthers believe that Antarctica completely surrounds us, like a fence, you know, and the seas are held in by a wall of ice. So if you imagine it as a circle, like when you put water into a bowl and now put a sponge in the bowl, that's your land. The water is held in by the bucket. The edge of the bucket is the wall of ice, according to the flat earthers. But as I say, to my mind, it's a dimensional existence.
Explain the solar eclipse and why does, on a full moon, why are the ocean's waves so strong? Explain solar eclipse and then explain the moon and the tides.
Well, the solar eclipse is up for speculation. I mean, the Hindus who believe that it's an earth plane have believed for thousands of years that it isn't actually a moon that comes in front of the sun, but something other than a moon, because when a solar eclipse happens, you don't see the contours of the moon as it passes in front of the sun. So they speculate that it's not actually the moon that is passing in front of the sun. And they say you should be able to see the contours of the moon because of the light being shed onto the earth if it was a ball, and the sea would reflect light back upwards, so you'd be able to see the contours of the moon, but you can't. But the thing about the moon and the tides, I mean, we are told that the moon affects the tides. Now, I'm just speculating here. Imagine if it was the opposite. Imagine if the tides affected what the moon did. But then again, this is just theory, as is like the theory of gravity.
But the ocean is so much smaller than the moon, the amount of water is. And that's just what's on Earth. The moon is out there. It has nothing to do with us. But rather, the moon affects our waves. And here's another thing. The moon is attracted to the rock of Earth, the Earth's core, the orbit that Earth as a whole creates. And here's another thing, Pseudo. Do you think we never landed on the moon? Are you trying to say that that was all Hollywood bullshit? That we didn't spend millions, if not a couple $1 billion in 1969 to fly, what's his name, Neil Armstrong to the moon?
Absolutely, but first things first. So you're talking about, you said the attraction of the moon to the Earth. Well, how come that attraction stops then? Because the astronomers will tell you that a larger mass attracts a smaller mass. The moon is smaller than the Earth, so why hasn't the moon collided with the Earth? And with regards to the water and the moon, so how do you know that there isn't a force out there that is affecting both the water and the moon?
Virus told me you don't believe in satellites, bro.
I believe that there are things that are passing themselves off as satellites in the atmosphere, but in space, no, I don't.
So what kind of flat earth theorist are you? Do you think the earth is a dome? Or do you think it's just a fucking plane? Or do you think it's a ball?
Well, not all flat earthers believe in the dome. Many of them do. I personally don't believe that there's a dome above us, sealing us in, you know. What was the second part of your question?
I think he's having some technical difficulties. I had a question for you, Pseudo. So what's your response to the people that have flown around the world, like the Army Air Service, the precursor for the United Air Force, flew around the world? They left Seattle in 4 airplanes. So for the people that say they circumnavigated the globe, what's the response to that? They're flying in one direction. Air Force made 74 stops, heading in one direction, I guess, circling around the world.
Exactly. Amelia Earhart traveled across the world. Many other people did. and they confirmed it was a globe.
Yeah, they don't hit Antarctica when they're heading east or west, you know?
These people who circumnavigate do so in a circle. They're not allowed to go past restricted airspace. You know, they'd just be shot down. And if they are claiming to circumnavigate a globe, then I would suggest that they're doing it in collusion with the powers that be.
Listen, dude. What do you think? Earth is it squared? Is it a dome? Is the layout of Earth a circle? Is it a block that has volume? Or is it just a straight two-dimensional plane? Or is it round? Tell me everything you think about Earth. You have to have one idea. You can't stick to every single flat Earth idea because they're all different. And not any of what... Okay, if you chose every single... Let's say, a circular flat Earth is different from a squared flat Earth. A domed flat Earth is different from a two-dimensional, non-hemisphered flat Earth. Okay? So what do you believe in?
Well, here's the thing. No flat earther believes it's square. And so take a look at those two maps.
Yeah, it's not a bad response. So you think they're flying in a large enough circle to appear as if they're flying straight, but they're actually navigating in a large circle. I don't know, if they're heading in the same degree on the compass the whole time, you know? Because when you fly, you're keeping your heading at 333 or whatever your heading is. And they're going to maintain that. So does the compass bring you in a circle when you maintain the same heading? I don't get it.
To be honest, I don't get what you're asking me. I mean, the people who travel in aircrafts from place to place, if you look at the flight paths of a lot of those flights, it literally does make more sense on a flat Earth. For instance, from Australia to, I believe it's Rio de Janeiro. I'm just going to put another picture into this channel to show you the flight paths of some planes. Don't make sense.
You know, on the compass, Pseudo, when you're heading due east, you're going to be heading 90 degrees. That's what airplanes use. They use their heading. So air traffic control will tell you change your heading to 94 degrees, get ready for approach, you know. So if you're maintaining 90 degrees heading east, they're making sure on the compass they're not changing off of 90 degrees, but you're saying they're going to hit Antarctica. But they're saying that they can circumnavigate in a whole circle around the planet and end up in the same place, so without ever going over the edge, you know.
Well, I guess they say a lot of things. You know, there are pilots out there that say they don't make adjustments for any curvature of the Earth. So you're going to get two sides of the story. One that's going to support the ball model and one that's going to contradict it. So it's a matter of choosing which one you're going to believe. But rather than just choosing what people say, I would advise choosing what you can actually physically or through your senses experience. I mean, why would we take the word of anybody without verifying for ourselves? I mean, if you go onto a flight sim, that sim's programmed to present you with certain data. Now, if you go try physically to fly over Antarctica or past the ice wall and come back and report on the difficulties that you have.
Yeah, nothing will ever let you do that, not even Google. You can't go to the pole, the North Pole. But the very, very part of the North Pole, everything that I've seen, you can't really get good imagery of that. But I don't know, it just seems like that's what supports the Hollow Earth theory. That's what I've always bought into. But yeah, Flat Earth, I know they use that as their argument too. Strange.
Okay, I'm here. Leaf.
Okay, what do you think about... Dude, can you talk some sense into my friend Pseudo? He believes that the Earth is flat. And I hit him with so many things. I hit him with that the theory that of the solar eclipse where you can see the sun's the ring of sun's light behind the moon, which means it's obviously fucking a sphere. I told him about the hemisphere climate changes. Because you're in Argentina. Right now, it's cold over there. Where I'm at, it's fucking warm.
That's a weird ass question, but come on, man, really? Come on, man. We're in 2017. What are you, stuck in the 12th century, dude? I'm talking to your friend Sudo, not you, Leaf. Come on, man. Stop being stupid. Everybody knows the Earth is round.
Exactly. That's some 12th century bullshit.
But that's not true. Not everybody knows the Earth is round. In fact, nobody knows. People believe. And even if 99% of the people believe, that doesn't mean they know. You can only know a thing when it's been proved. And it hasn't been proved. And the people who are trying to prove it are proving it with things that are unverifiable. Second-hand testimony. Information by proxy.
So basically, I think I've heard you say this before, but you think that the images taken from space of the Earth from afar, you think that's basically drawings generated by the hands of a human being? Because I've seen those pictures and they do not look fake, son.
This just seems like a useless debate because, I mean, if he believes that the Earth is really square, I mean, he's really dumb, because then how the hell does, if the Earth was square, how the hell does gravity work then? Gravity works on every part of every continent. So if there was a continent that was on one face of the Earth, how the hell does that work?
Well, the problem is you don't know what the flat earthers believe, and I could say you're really dumb if you think that flat earthers believe that the Earth is square, because they don't. This clearly shows to me that you have done no investigation about what the flat earthers believe at all, so you're not qualified to even speak to the subject.
Wait, Pseudo. I'm looking at that image right now. Now look at it with me. I'm looking at it right now. Fucking South America almost looks like it's curving towards you, like at a 75 degree angle, bro. That is not a flat Earth. That is a round Earth. Now, if that's an image you're trying to say is real, then I believe you, because you can obviously see the curvature, bro. Don't hit me with that shit, bro. You just exposed yourself.
I'm just gonna say this. I don't need to be an expert in shit. Not in geography, not in geology, not in any type of earth sciences. So I'm going to stick with what I know. The Earth is round, period.
You're going to stick with what you think and what you've been told and what you've been indoctrinated into and what you've believed, like an utter sheeple. And Jim, the reason I put that picture into the channel was to show you just how pathetic it is. That is supposed to be an image from space of the planet Earth, and what you see at the bottom there, they're claiming that is the surface of the moon. Now these people are telling you with that image, that is from the official NASA website, they are telling you, if you look at that image critically, that this is fucking bogus. Yeah, if you look at that image, that's from the NASA website from 2015. If you look at that and then turn around and tell me that you believe that image, then I say you're an idiot, and anybody else who believes that image is an idiot. The second image shows you one of the discrepancies between NASA's so-called images of space. They can't even get the shape and size of the landmass correct. And those are official images, by the way.
Yeah, I'll be an idiot then, bro.
I'm just saying, what is your whole angle here? What is your whole point? Like, are you trying to convince the entire world that the Earth is round? That the Earth is square? It would take fucking 4 lifespans for you to even try to do that. Try to convince 6 billion people. Come on, man. Some bullshit, dude. Whatever. I guess I'm an ignorant. Who cares?
And also, I guess you don't believe in gravity, and our gravitational pull is much stronger than meteors and shrapnel in space, and that's why we collect a lot of meteors and shrapnel and debris. Riddle me that, Mr. Pseudo.
Everybody knows that if the Earth was square, there wouldn't be a gravitational field or pull. There wouldn't be such thing as being able to drop something on the floor and then have it just stay there. it would be impossible. Like you need it.
It's called buoyancy. If it's lighter, it rises. If it's heavier, it falls. And again, you keep using this word square, so you're not really giving much concentration to this subject, are you? Flat earthers do not believe the world is square. And if you're looking at that picture and drawing that conclusion, dude, that picture is a joke. That picture was created as counterintelligence program against people understanding the shape of the earth.
All right, okay. Let's just assume that what you're saying is the truth. Like, who cares, dude? Like, who the fuck? Why is it so important to like? It's not gonna change anything in your life or my life. It's just a piece of information. I'd rather much know other things than if the Earth is round or square, because it doesn't really affect my lifestyle or my life. So, come on, man.
But that's what everybody who cannot produce any evidence of the sphere Earth boils down to. They always say that thing at the very end. So what does it matter? What does it matter that your governments and your so-called leaders find it important enough to push a false world view on the whole of humanity? What does it matter? And that's of no consideration to you.
I mean, I'm not gonna do anything about it because I can't. I'm just one man. They have the power, they have the money, they're the elitist, so who cares, man? Fuck. Let's just live life, man, and enjoy whatever life we got. We're gonna die anyway, so who cares what's right and what's wrong? Just do right and don't do wrong, that's all.
Yeah, that's a fair enough assumption. Do right and don't do wrong, but you're not in a position to tell people how, when, why, or if they should care or not. That's an individual choice, and it's of no concern to you if people do invest thought and attention into that subject. If you're happy just going along, being a sheep, accepting any information that's given you from governments who clearly lie through the back teeth. I mean, they can't even tell people a straight truth on election day, you know? I mean, if you don't care, you don't care. Carry on. Drink the Kool-Aid, dude. Have a nice life.
Then I guess I'm a sheep.
So what is it about the flat earth they want to cover up so bad? Why do you think it's better to have everyone think it's a globe than if it actually is a flat earth? It's a lot of trouble to go through.
Well, to have everybody have a false worldview, it makes you indifferent to your environment. It makes you believe that there's no such thing as intelligent design and that your life it has no significance. It takes out the concept of, like I say, intelligent design and a conscious creator, a quote-unquote God. It removes your connection to this quote-unquote God. And again, like I say, it makes you feel insignificant. And in the process, removes all your power for self-realization as to who you are and to where you are. But if that doesn't concern you, then it's your prerogative to live a very shallow life and not investigate spiritual and metaphysical concepts and realize who you are.
Hey, Pseudo, I just want one answer. Let's say the moon is having its little crescent. It looks kind of like a C. Why is that? Why is that? Why is there a shadow over the moon? Now, nobody cut Pseudo off. I want Pseudo to press the toggle button, look in the history, and explain to me, one by one, what he thinks about the images I just posted. Because I told him what I thought about his flat earth image. Now, Pseudo, one by one, explain to me every piece of information I just posted in the history on toggle mode. Nobody cut him off. Let's hear what he has to say, alright? And then I'll combat him with what he has to say.
Well, you're kind of storming me there. And that's a bit too much to ask for, just to explain every piece of information just like that. But you asked me about the shadows on the moon. Now, you're showing me imagery, what somebody has created, probably on a computer or whatever. But I'd say you should go and look at the sky when the moon's out there, because you will find, and don't just look once, look over the course of a month, and then try to justify to yourself where the sun must be in order to create the shadow that you're seeing. And I'll say to you that you will not be able to work it out in your mind, knowing that the sun has allegedly gone behind the curve of the horizon. What you see as a so-called shadow doesn't match up with the position of where the sun should actually be. So rather than just ask me questions about pictures, which are nothing basically, pictures don't prove anything, except that these pictures can be obviously fakes. That's all it can prove. But what you're saying is because there's a shadow on the moon, this means that the Earth is a sphere. But that's not necessarily the truth, because for a start, nobody knows what the moon is. People have not been to the moon. The moon actually casts a light, and the light that the moon actually casts is colder than the shade in the night time. Now that doesn't even make sense. What I'm saying to you is that this environment that we're in now does not conform to human logic. Man is full of hubris and thinks that it can offer answers to the mystery of the universe, quote unquote universe. And that's just, like I say, it's hubris. Man can't do that. There are mysteries that we are unable to fathom. And some of these things which you present, which are presented on both sides, don't make sense. So bearing in mind that both people who are presenting evidence for or against don't make sense 100%, then you have to ask yourself then, so what the hell is this? Because there are holes in all sides. Now, as I said earlier on in the beginning of this conversation, I am not a flat earther. All I say is that there's more evidence to support the flat earth model than there is the spheroid model. This is a dimensional experience created by soul, created by mind and ideas, projected into our environment. We can't even reach the boundaries of this because we can't reach the boundaries of our own imagination. This world is a holographic projection of mind stuff.
You're not a flat earther, but you have that shit written all over your profile. I mean, you took the time to either copy and paste or write it yourself. So, another thing, I know for sure, don't cut me off, I know for sure what I'm seeing is real, not just images people created or took. I can go outside and I can see the shadow on the moon. And I can see its roundature, its curvature. I can see its shape, and I know for sure. And I spend quite a time out on sea. And I know when you look out for miles on miles, you can see ships go halfway down, slowly but gradually, down the edge of the horizon. Look at the photo I just posted. That's a clear example. Ant on an orange. And you're saying my photos are phony? You posted photos and said, "Look at that, Jim." Well, those could be phony. Who knows? But I'm gonna reiterate what I was saying. If you are out on the sea and you see another boat on the horizon, it could be going like it could just be like 30 miles away, 30 miles down. You will see half of the ship. You will see the top half. Don't believe me, spend time out on sea. That's the best way to prove the Earth is a sphere. And you say that people lose their mind once people tell them that the Earth is flat. But I think you'll lose your mind when you spend time out on sea.
See, you've just debunked the ball there without even knowing that you've debunked it. Now, you've just said that you can see half of a ship 30 miles away. Now, if you're going to take into consideration spherical trigonometry, you should not be able to see any of that ship. The human eye is governed by a thing called the law of perspective, which means you can only see so far, and it's not very far at all, before the thing in the distance peters out and disappears. Now, if you're making the claim that you can see a ship 30 miles away, which I suggest you can, because the human eye is not that good, but if you were to put a telescope in front of your eye and then you see that ship, you have just debunked the globe. Because here's the official trigonometry. The Earth is a 25,000 mile circumference sphere, which means for every mile you travel along the Earth's surface, you experience a decline of 8 inches squared to the mile. So it's not like you travel 1 mile and there's 8 inches of curve, you travel 2 mile. And then you're just experiencing another 8 inches of curve. That's not the truth, because it's squared, it's multiplying. It's squaring itself. So the object that you think you're seeing in the distance some 30 miles away should be literally thousands and thousands of inches below the horizon, because it's a ball, remember. Now I can show you imagery that shows skylines of cities 50 miles away, which should in no way should be visible. And so you explain that, Jim. I'll show you an image of that right now. I'll put it into the history now.
I'm done with this conversation.
Okay, thank you for debunking the ball with your so-called ship on the horizon, which should have gone over the curve.
When did you figure out you were a flat earth theorist? Or maybe not a theorist, but a believer?
Like I said, Jim, I'm not a flat earther. This is a dimensional experience. The dimension that we think we're in is actually us. We are responsible for its creation. It's like your body is within the soul. Your environment is within the greater soul, the collective soul, let's say. And we're just all sharing metadata. And it gets strange when people no longer believe the same thing. And this is where the discrepancies arise. People can't explain it on this side or that side because we're no longer in agreement. So there's no facts to clarify it all. And this debate will go on and on and on. And nobody's going to solve it because nobody's coming up with absolute 100% definitive clear-cut evidence, because it doesn't exist.
So basically, like you were saying, if it's all a figure of our imagination and everything is what we want to believe and life is what we make it, then like Maximo just said, why does it care if Earth is flat or round? You just told me straight up that Earth is what we make it in our mind. So basically, it shouldn't even matter. You know, what you believe is what you believe, and you shouldn't have to preach it, bro. Fuck's sakes. Might.
Who's preaching it, dude? Anyway, so what difference does it make? So here we are, having a human experience. Now, what's ahead of us? Yeah, we can come back and have another human experience, if we so choose. But think of it in terms of environment. Imagine a fish in a fish bowl, and it knows nothing but the water that it's swimming around in. So it comes to the end of its life, and all it's got running through its consciousness is, I am a fish, I live in a fish bowl. But now, while that fish is swimming, you grab that fish by the tail and pull it out of the fish bowl for a couple of minutes, and then all of a sudden the fish gets a glimpse that there's a bigger environment, there's a bigger picture, there's more to existence. Put that fish back in the fish bowl, and now that fish's mind is going to be ticking. It knows more than it knew 2 minutes ago. The same with us, dude. Once you realize that this environment is a shill and a con game, then you start speculating as to what's beyond. You start to know that there's something beyond this, because everything is being hidden from us by the people who are controlling humanity, controlling people's thought processes and restricting their personal powers and opportunities for growth. But once you know a thing, then you cannot unknow it, and it can't be stopped. What they're trying to do is prevent people from knowing this thing. There is more to the human being than a physical body, and the entrapment in this, which is basically, for want of a better word, prison planet. Well, for a start, it's not a planet, but it's a psychological prison. But once you break the bars of that prison, you're free to go, man. You're free to go.
What do you think Harry believes? He seems like a pretty cool guy.
I'm only privy to what Harry presents. He presents that he believes everything that is told. He doesn't doubt a thing. It's a ball, you know. The governments are here to protect people. Asians should be destroyed, you know. People who he doesn't like should be wiped out. What do I care what Harry thinks? I don't. What's my suspicion? That it never in a million years would he own up to knowing some of the things that he probably does know. Probably for fear of being ridiculed, like all truthers are. They're called conspiracy theorists. Well, isn't it strange though that the actual conspiracy lies with the people who are hiding the truth? That is the true definition of the word conspiracy. To corrupt a thing, where a number of people come together to present a scenario or to make a happening, that is the true definition of conspiracy. Now, to say conspiracy theorist, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. Well, first you have to verify whether this theory is actually factual or false. And most people don't even bother to do that. They hear the word conspiracy, they hear the word flat earth, that's it, it's written off because they've been brainwashed and indoctrinated in how to think. In fact, they're not thinking for themselves, they're thinking somebody else is doing the thinking for them. But it's easy to live like that. We have this area of our brain called the reptilian brain, and its design is to have an easy life. You know, all it needs to do is eat and drink and sleep, and it's happy and contented. Thinking is hard. Thinking is the hardest work in the world, and the reptilian brain's not interested in that, and the manipulators know this. I mean, why do you think, Jim, that they go to so much effort to put things like fluoride in the water supply, to put all kinds of toxins in the food supply? Why do you think they do these things? To cause calcifications in the human pineal gland. Why would they wish to do that? Because if your human pineal gland becomes calcified, it becomes non-functional. In order to have a level of conscious awareness, you have to have a fully functioning pineal gland. Once you have a fully functioning pineal gland, then you start to receive input and signals from things beyond the immediate experience. And they don't want that. So therefore, let's shut the pineal gland down and keep these people sheeple. Have you ever had a question, Jim? An important question that hasn't been answered?
Sudo, I'm going to have to actually cut in. Looks like that's all the time we have for tonight's podcast. I know this debate can go on forever and ever, but just want to thank everyone for listening to the Flat Earth debate. Stay tuned for more debates to come in the near future. If you want to hear more, you can always stream us freely anytime. No monthly membership fees or anything like that. Join us at www.truthbook.tk, or if you are a SoundCloud user, you can join us there as well. That would be www.soundcloud.com/allthingstech. You can follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and other platforms on truthbook.tk website. But again, thank you everyone for listening to All Things Tech.